All right, howdy everyone. This is Jeff Megow with the tenantimprovement.com Lease and Build Podcast. I want to thank you guys for liking, subscribing, following us, tuning into this episode. We've got an interesting topic that we're going to cover today. I'm joined here by Miles Wojcik with Floor Zone. He's on our team. We have a commercial floor covering business, and Miles is one of our account managers who does a lot of tenant improvement type work with a lot of different clients. And so I'm going to introduce him and then we'll get into what we're going to talk about. So Miles, tell me a little bit about yourself. Well, first of all, thank you for, I do that every time. Handshake. Yeah. Thank you for joining us. And tell us a little bit about yourself, how long you've been in flooring, what you do at Floor Zone.
Yeah, so I've been at Floor Zone for roughly 7 years. I've been a account manager and project manager and slash estimator. Whenever I have to go out and do hand drawings or if it's a quick takeoff for a quick turnaround project, I help out there. I have a beautiful wife, Alanis. We've been married roughly 2 years. I have an 8-year-old son, or eight-month old son, Mason. And
congrats on that. Good on introducing her or introducing the wife. I think I've only had one other guest that has done that so far, and I think that's awesome to kind of dive in a little bit. And I also good on introducing the son, and that's fun. Being 8 months, I'm
messed up on his age though, so that's a strike right there. He's only 8 months, not 8 years. So
yeah, you had some listeners going, wait, that math is different. So, but that's fine. Well, it's been great to see you develop at Floor Zone. I'll say that, and it's been neat to see the family evolve and everything. So, congratulations to you.
No, I can't wait till he gets to 8 years. But it's a baby step at a time.
There's phases. Mine are 13 and 15, as you know, and there's phases, and you miss the past phases, but when you're in them, you kind of like, I'm so tired. And then you look back and you're like, oh, that was kind of a good time. So enjoy it.
Yeah, tired is a constant. That's just a constant feeling.
Yeah. But the age mix up, that's just you aging yourself. So, all right. So the different types of clients that you serve at Floor Zone, and then we're going to get into what we're going to talk about. So the types of clients that you saw.
Yeah. So the types we have are tenant improvement clients. Primarily, it's general contractors that are doing a tenant improvement project for either a building, a commercial space, so on and so forth. No plans to where if it's a property manager that says, hey, I have this area that I want some, whatever the material is to be installed. I don't have any plans, but I need you to come out and I need you to actually do hand drawings.
Okay.
And then dabbling in a little bit of hospitality. We're working with the Houston Club right now, which is exciting. And then private schools. We just finished one, so that's what we're here to talk about.
And we've done a handful over the years, and your client base in that area has been growing, and it's been interesting to see. And so, anyways, Miles and I were talking about having a podcast to just kind of explain a little bit about private schools because they're not quote unquote tenant improvement projects, but you have a lot of stakeholders that, whether it's the administration running the buildings or running the school, running the team, running the buildings, it's the teachers, but the students as well, parents of the students, everybody's wanting that facility to function and operate. And so sometimes people might, from a construction standpoint, not think about that. And so with private schools, what do you think are the two biggest priorities for them when they're approaching some type of a construction project or flooring project at the school?
I think it's going to be, it's deadlines, number one, because if it has to be done on the 1st, it has to be done on the 31st. And then the second thing would be safety.
Okay, safety in terms of just the building access or students or what? When you say that?
Yeah, so all stakeholders in the building, whether that's faculty, whether that's students, whether that's parents, and as far as safety routes in case of a fire.
Yeah.
And also just
that's
we're bringing installer crews, people from outside of the school into the school into their home per se. And, we have to make sure that those people are background checked and
Yeah.
vetted.
As the school has an obligation, obviously, to educate the children, but to protect the children, and whatever that new construction environment and the hurdles that it presents, and the staff or the construction crew being there, safety is. I could see why that would be one of the two highlighted priorities. Let's talk about deadline first. So we had talked offline a little bit about scope, material selection, takeoffs, quoting, requoting, phasing. So on scope, what is it in terms of defining the scope, and how does that help with making sure the deadlines can be adhered to?
Yeah, so meeting with the the head of school, the CFO, whoever it may be, and just kind of sitting down and either walking the space or sitting down and looking at the plans, or with the walking of the school, figuring out what they want to install and where they want to install it, and that could be carpet, like demoing carpet and going back with carpet, going back with LVT, going back with tile, so on and so forth, and kind of the expectations on the deadline of that.
So a lot of this, like in terms of defining the scope, there's going to be two types of projects with private schools. I think that there's one where they brought a design team in, an architecture firm, and then there's going to be one where they're wanting to get it done, and they might not. They think it might be a handful of finishes or moving a wall or two, and they might not need that design team. And so I just kind of wanted to kind of segment out the two. One, on defining the scope, obviously if an architecture firm is involved in design, they're going to have that handed scope. You're getting into the projects where there's both projects, but the one you're kind of describing is more of the one where, hey, let's do some mild renovation. We don't need a full set of plans, and defining the scope that way.
Sure.
Yeah. Fred, at one of our clients, I'll use his first name, but he has a great line, which was, any decision you make today, or anything you want to change today, realize that the decision to have that in place in your plan took place 30 days ago. So decisions and defining the scope are obviously critical to making sure that you can start the project right. What about material selections? How does that help in terms of deadline?
Well, so I want to touch on what you just said as far as,
Okay.
yes, if there's a design team and there's already materials that are picked out and everything, those lead times, or the pricing and the lead times have already kind of been figured out as far as the budget goes, and the duration of the project. Yeah, what I'm talking about is more of somebody says, look, we don't want a design team. We don't want an architect. We don't want to pay for that. We have old carpet, or we have old flooring, and we want a refresh. We want, just come back in with something similar, or give us options, bring us samples, or just figure out, like, Miles, just figure out what is going to look good in our space that you think that we're going to like, and present that to us, and obviously then we can go from there. And so,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, so that I can see how that can shave some time. Talk about like material selections, like how quick is it to get some of these materials? How long is it to get some of these materials? How does that factor into a decision-making process?
There can be carpets that you can get in a week. You can get them in basically 5 to 7 business days, or you could have carpets and vinyls that you could get in 9 weeks. So it just depends, really.
On the product itself. And I think that in terms of planning, um, we'll get into kind of we had talked about optimal planning and timelines, and you had earlier off camera talked to me about, well, there's like a 3-month type project and there's a year-long project in terms of planning. The difference in carpet that you're highlighting, as far as in a week or so get the carpet in 9 weeks. I guess if a school is planning in late May for a quick turnover, their options probably are limited because they don't have 9 weeks to wait throughout the summer to get to work.
Right. Yeah. If you have like a storage closet or something like that, where it's just like, we want just a really inexpensive carpet or a really inexpensive vinyl product and just, and get it done, then that is definitely, with the quoting and products and everything and install, you're looking at probably maybe 2 weeks or so.
And then
Um, but yeah, if you have a specific look and a specific product, and in these schools, you need a solid quality product that is going to hold up to the wear and tear, because I mean you're going to have high traffic. I mean, you have kids moving up and down the hallways every day, um and so those higher quality products they are going to cost more. I'm not going to say they're not in stock or they don't have a long lead time, but you could get into a situation where it could be a
yeah,
long lead time.
that makes sense. So
So
the traffic that the school experience with the students and the a level of abuse the floor needs to tolerate is not your run and gun. It's above average. So therefore, planning ahead, because manufacturers might not stock that above average level, and they might build it as just as the orders come in. And so I can understand that. What did you mean? You and I talked again a little bit offline, quoting and requoting, and how much time that takes. Like, why quoting, but why requoting? I mean, I guess I understand quoting, but why requoting, or how does that come about?
right. So if you have an existing material that has been down for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, and they say that that we want that exact product again, after I find that product, after I do some digging, which does take time, so that's why being more, planning more further in advance is very important. But once I find that product, if that product is not in budget or if it has a long lead time, then that is something that we'd have to go back to the drawing board, or I'd have to find something that is similar, whether it's a carpet similar in pattern and color, or if it's an LVT product, something similar in, again, pattern and color. That would be a good crossover to the existing product or the product that they really desire. And then obviously making sure that product is within their budget and within their lead time.
Okay. All righty. So this is good information, Miles. I know we've talked again, all focusing in on the deadlines. You and I had mentioned offline also about phasing plans and stuff. I know that the mindset is, hey, we got a bunch of carpet, but carpet goes in and out real quick. Why would that take any amount of time? So if we were talking to a school right now, what would you want to tell them about the reality of how quick installations or that phasing plan goes for a project?
Yeah, so the phasing, so just to start with the phasing plan, we would provide it. It would be a color-coded phasing plan. So let's just say you had 3 different areas that we would be working in, say, area 1, and it would be blocked off to area 2 and area 3. So if there is summer school, or if there is class in session, whatever it may be, then those areas are going to be segmented off from where our working area is. So no school, or so no student is in danger in
No
our area,
interactions. Yeah.
right? So I'll say that. Now, so with the actual phasing plan, what we would do is we would provide totes and moving supplies for the contents of the classroom, whether it's books, whether it's paperwork, personal belongings, confidential documents, if there is any, computers, so on and so forth. And those would be totes with an integrated dolly system, to where you'll be able to push them around.
This is so that teachers can pack up all the contents in the classroom.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Just
Correct.
making sure I
Yeah.
was following.
And then so they're super easy to roll around. They're on 4 independent casters. So um, anybody can move them. They're super easy to move. And then also what that does is when we go in there to actually start in the classroom, in the office, whatever space that it may be, then our guys will be able to move those totes out will be able to move all of the furniture out, and then actually demo, which takes time, scraping glue if need be, prepping.
Okay, hold on. So where does the furniture go when you take it out of the office or the classroom?
So the furniture will, I mean, the installer does a great job on designating an area, whether it's either inside of the classroom or inside of the office. If they have enough room to move the furniture on one side of the room or the other, and then demo and prep and install on one side, and then move the furniture, kind of play a little musical chairs with the chairs. Um, or they would move all the furniture into the hallway or into an open area, maybe down the hallway.
Okay.
Um,
So just kind of juggling musical chairs, I think, is a good
yeah, and
way of
every
describing it.
every situation, every site is a little bit different.
All right. So the teachers come in with the totes, or totes are supplied so they can easily package up content. They
Mhm.
get those out or wheeled out. Then our team or a team would move out the furniture. You talked about demoing, but you talked what do you mean by glue scraping? What is that?
So the either carpet or the vinyl product is adhered with adhesive
What we're going to put down, or what's
to the concrete. That's the existing material.
existing material? Okay. All right.
Existing material is obviously glued with adhesive down, and whenever you remove or demo either the carpet or the vinyl product, you're going to have a layer of adhesive
Okay.
still on the substrate, still on the concrete.
Okay.
And that needs to be removed. There are products where you don't have to scrape the glue. They say in their spec and in their warranty that you don't need to scrape the glue. So that is a expense reduction, which is good for the budget. Um, and then you can install right over the top of it.
Okay. So you have the glue scraping if the product requires it. Most of them will, but some of them don't. They're installing it. I guess then they're putting the furniture back. Um, what about like in terms of how much space is enough or not enough? Because you had mentioned earlier about phasing and how much, if the deadline is important, having access to as much space as possible, I guess, helps so that we can be fully efficient. Talk a little bit about that. Like, what have you seen in some of the projects? It's always fun to, I know you'll see a project and so we'll say, we want these 20 rooms, but you can only do this room on Tuesday and that room on Wednesday and next week on Friday on this room. I remember one of the large churches we worked on, it was so busy with so many different entities or involved groups that use the facilities. I'll say it that way. It was a difficult to plan. So with private schools, how is that working?
Right. So we love to problem solve. And so, if there is that situation where, we can only do this area or this room at a certain date, and then this area or this room on another date, then I mean we'll accommodate that, of course, but at the same time, then that goes back to affecting the deadlines, right? Affecting the turnover date. And so the more area that we have to work, the faster that we can get in and out, and we can exceed that deadline and turn it over well in advance.
All right. Okay, so we were talking about kind of priority one or priority two, the deadlines being a big issue. Talked about how material selections can really affect that with some lead times, or we talked about defining scope and really understanding your plan, which gets into, your quoting and maybe requoting with the budget. And then just now, I guess, talking about demoing totes, moving furniture, installing it back and forth. Let's just kind of summarize a little bit more about some of the thoughts about safety around the students being in and around a construction site, or how you keep them away from it, and different things that we might do.
Right. So if there's fire doors in schools,
Mhm.
and that is a great way to close and lock um, children out of the work area. If there's not, then we will put up cones, we'll put up danger tape to where that signifies that the area is dangerous and to not enter.
Yeah.
We'll put up barricades as well. So we have a couple of different measures that we do to block off our work area.
Okay. And then of course the crews that we're sending, background checks, drug tests, all those kinds of standard requirements, but I guess they're more important at schools, just because of the interaction with the children.
Of course. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't matter whether it's a private school or a public school. I mean, the people that you're sending to, the crews that you're sending to the school, I know that they're great people. I know that they're extremely hardworking and they're first class people. They are. But the school doesn't know that, right? And so, providing background checks and peace of mind, because we're sending unknown people into their home, right? Into their environment, right?
So we talked a little earlier, optimal planning. So if somebody's schools, from my memory, doing some holidays and summertime seem to be optimal times for projects, right? How far in advance? How far in advance should they plan, and how too little is too late, right? In terms of planning, can somebody, if somebody lets you know May 15th to start June 1st, what are you going to tell them?
Well, again, it goes back to if it's a storage room, and it is a inexpensive product that is just a quick turnaround product that may actually be in stock in Houston, or it may be in stock in Georgia. Again, that's a 5 business day lead time coming to Houston, and then typically a 1 to 2 day install. So we could meet that deadline, but typically, a school is not going to have that small of a scope, typically. So, again, it goes back to finding the products, and or finding the new product that would have, again, the acceptable lead time to satisfy that deadline.
Okay.
And that's really the biggest thing is really just it's the lead time.
All right. And then in terms of what about participating in their annual budgeting process? Might be a way. I think I was in my mind, I was like interacting with the facilities manager to say, hey, what do you have coming up next year that you think is nagging that we can go ahead and preemptively plan for? In terms of, but if somebody, we talked a lot about those, there's already a design team that was involved, and we talked a lot about, okay, there isn't, and that was kind of, we covered more of without a design team involved, and you're just coming straight to talk with a floor covering dealer like Floor Zone. And, I'm trying to get to a planning question, but the more time, the better. I mean, is it a possibility you plan too far ahead?
I don't really think so. Now, planning too far ahead, may be, it's gonna be problematic for your quote, for your budget, because if you plan 2 years in the future, with tariffs, with the increase in
Inflation.
labor, inflation, so on and so forth. If you produce a quote and a budget, and you're expecting that to be the same in 2 years, then that is typically never the case.
Yeah.
And so, you can establish kind of a baseline on what it's going to cost. But yeah, 2 years, even a year in the future, even 6 months in the future. Tariffs are a huge deal for us and a lot of products that we supply. And so there's a lot of increases. There's a lot of things that we have to get ahead of. And so, and that does go back to, planning ahead as far as, As far as getting the scope and getting a budget and getting everything understood, as far in advance as possible. But again, if it's too far in advance, then having the understand that, hey, this price is most likely gonna increase by, maybe not a significant amount, but it will increase.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Okay, well, Miles, you've been great to sit down with us. I really appreciate the time. I'm excited to see what happens next, and good luck with your wife and your 8-month-old son.
I appreciate it.
But thank you so much for your time.
Yeah.
Good to
Have a
see you.
great vacation, Jeff.
That's tomorrow's vacation. So, anyways, thank you everybody for tuning in to the Lease and Build podcast with tenantimprovement.com. Click the link to subscribe, follow us, and watch for more episodes. Thank you.